Locho sampo pagyo trashi pa tuche tempe trinle yarno da pege drolor zambe ze parche palde lame shabla solvade Omo a Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nishasan Uta Vardanya Shri Bhat Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om a Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nishasan Shri Bhat Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhar Sumatimo Nishasane Karma Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsaman Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhar Sumatimo Nishasane Karma Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumatimo Nishasane Karma Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Pakyuke Kudan Dagi Lo Pakyuke Sundan Dagi Nga Pakyuke Tudan Dagi Teyer Makyuke Kudan Dagi Lo Makyuke Sun Makyuke Tudan Dagi Teyerme Chikto Jingelo Om Muni Muni Maha Shakya Munye Soha Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Chedan soge chonamla chancho pardo dani kevs dagi chinso gibe sonamgi trola penchra sange druparish sange chedan soge chonamla chancho pardo dani kevsoche Dagi chushe gibe sonamgi Drola pinchra sange druparasho Sange chedan soge chonamla Dagi chushe gibe sonamgi Drola pinchra sange druparasho In the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge unto enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, May I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. Good morning. So yesterday we were looking at the meaning of the name of the practice, NgalSo, Tantric self-healing practice. And so today we will start with the actual practice. Okay, and it has been very important for me for us to look at the context of the practice itself. It's something that we should always remember, that first of all, it's a practice that is part of the spiritual path, inside to develop love towards oneself, love towards others, within the Vajrayana path of transformation. It's a path where we learn to abandon the negative things, to cultivate the positive aspects, NgalSo. And then we need to heal our own selves, which means we need to have our own potential. We need to use our own resources to heal our body and mind. But in a deeper level, it means healing our own identity, healing the self in its deepest level. Okay? And it's a practice, it's a yoga. It's something that we need to do again and again in order to fulfill its aims. Okay? So now, the actual practice. The actual practice, we divide it into two parts, which call NgalSo, which is the Tungi NgalSo and Tunzam NgalSo. Tungi NgalSo, it means the practice during the meditation sessions. And Tunzam NgalSo is the practice in between the meditation sessions. Okay? So we have these two parts of the practice. So now, we start with the practice during the meditation sessions. And it is divided into three parts, which is the preparation or preliminary practices, the actual practice, and the conclusion. Okay? Preparation, actual practice, and conclusion. So we start with the preparation. Okay. First of all, the preparation is very important. It's not something that we should undermine or something, oh, I must go directly to the actual practice. Preparation is not so important. Actually, the preparation is as important as the actual practice. It's like when we build a house, if we don't have a good foundation, it's useless to get beautiful windows and to make a nice roof, because it won't stand up for long. So we need the house to be stable. Okay? So the preliminary practices, or the preparation part, is exactly where we are going to develop a solid foundation in order to do the rest of the practice. It's where we develop the correct motivation and the other parts also. So we will see one by one the steps of this part of the practice, okay? But it's very important to have good preliminary practices. And that's why it's even common in many traditions of Buddhism that before making retreat and going deeper into a meditation practice, such as self-healing, one will do first retreat on preliminary practices in order to get acquainted with it, in order to have a solid basis. Okay? So, when we go to the preliminary practices, the good thing of it is that once we learn well the preparation practices or the preliminary practices, they are basically the same for any practice we may do. So if we are doing self-healing, or if we are doing Guya Samaja, or if we are doing Yamantaka, or any practice we may do in Vajrayana, the preliminaries are basically the same, okay? They may be a little different. Some details can be different, but generally speaking, like most of it, it's very much the same, okay? In every part of the practice, it is divided into three aspects, which is what to recite, what to visualize, and what state of consciousness to generate. What's the mind that we should generate, okay? So I like to go through these 3 steps as we go on. And before that, we have actually the preparation for the preliminary practices. Even inside the preliminary practices themselves, we have the preparation and the actual practice, okay? So first we go to the preparation of the preparation. It's a preparation of the preliminary practices because it's something that we don't need to do every time we do the practice. Some parts, yes, but not all of them, which are the following. In Tibetan we say, Negan chidor chila kusuntugi tentamba, tende wala luduglu gyetam, cholam kander neba, longro gudru gomba. Okay, so these are the first part, which are, first thing, we need to prepare the place of meditation, because the environment in which we are, it's important. The place in which we are influences our mind. So one thing is if I just want to do a quick practice, something like that. Another thing is if I really want to make the meditation in the best way, like make a retreat, the more I want to dedicate time in a more serious way for the practice, the more it becomes important, the environment in which I am. It's not essential. Once we develop a good concentration, we can meditate anywhere. There's this, one of my good friends in the monastery, he had a friend that stayed many, many years doing meditation in a cave in Dharamsala in India. So he was in this little cave hut in the middle of the mountains for maybe 10 years or something alone. Just sometimes some people would bring him some food, and then we will stay alone there. And when he came out of the cave, he came down back to the monastery, and then in the monastery they were careful to give him a room that was very far away from any sound and noise and so on, after so many years in the cave alone. But he would wake up very early, and then he would go walking to a friend's house, that his friend's house was just in front of the bus station. And there was a veranda, a balcony, just outside of the house, in front of the bus station. So he would sit in the balcony. Imagine what is an Indian train bus station, okay? So he would sit in the balcony, and he would do his meditation there. Okay? So, which means, I don't know really what's the real reason why he would do that, we need to ask him, but still, from my understanding, it's like once we develop a good level of concentration, we can concentrate anywhere. So it's also a way of training. But before we reach there, before going to the balcony, he was 10 years alone in the cave. Okay? So it's important for us to create a good condition, to create a good environment where we do our meditation. If we are going to do a retreat, so a period of time dedicated specifically for meditation, one of the conditions important, is not, how to say, obligatory, but it's better. We need to be in a place which is not near to any object of too much attraction or too much aversion. Because let's say I'm doing in my house and then there is the neighbor. And then maybe I really like very much the neighbor, or I don't like the neighbor. If I am very attracted to my neighbor, and then I am doing my meditation, then suddenly I see some noise coming from the neighbor, then where my mind goes? Oh, my beautiful neighbor. Okay, attraction. If I have some problem with my neighbor and I really don't like the neighbor or whatever, and I'm then during the meditation and I listen just some door closing or something, oh, this neighbor always making noise, right away it goes back to the mind of aversion. So generally speaking, it's said we need to be far away of objects of too much attraction or too much aversion. Why? Because they simply will disturb the mind. Because we have not yet developed a very good level of concentration. On the other way, it's important for us to have what we call external silence and internal silence. The most important is the internal silence, and the external silence can help us to get internal silence. So the external silence is to be in a place with few distractions. So also in our house, if we have able to have a place for our own meditation, it's good. If we have a small room or a big room, anyhow, if we have one specific space for the meditation, is very good. If not, at least we have one little place where we sit. We can be one cushion. If we don't have a fixed place where we do our daily practice, what we do is that we can have just one cushion which is sacred. We only use for meditation. Even, for example, when we are traveling and we want to do our daily practice, if we don't have, maybe it's too difficult to take a cushion with us, at least we can have a piece of cloth that we put where we sit, this cloth. And it's like, it reminds us that we are doing something important. It reminds me that every time I sit on it, whatever I'm doing is not only for this life. It should transcend this life. It's for the spiritual practice. So when I enter this room that I have for my practice, or when I sit in the place of my practice, that's a holy place. It means I'm not going to be there for mundane reasons. I'm not going to sit there to worry about my job or to think about how to solve the problems that I have. When I sit there, is to develop love and wisdom, to deal with my defilements, in order to reach enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. So it becomes a sacred place. This is important. We create a sacred place for us, okay? So if we have a room, that's very good. You know, nowadays when you see people building houses and buying new houses, there is a room for eating, a room for sleeping, a room for studying, a room for many things, but very rarely you see people having a room for meditation or prayer. And that's actually very precious, very important, to create this environment, to create this space for us, okay? So, once we create this space, as I said before, it depends on the possibilities that each one of us have. You know, I know many people that have large houses, but they have no place where to meditate. And even when they create a place, sometimes it's not comfortable at all. It's like not choosing the best part of the house, choosing some little corner somewhere. No? And instead, I think it's important for us to have our own space. Now, I just remember one friend in Brazil. I went to his house to bless his little gompa. He made a little place. And it was interesting because after he made this little room, nice room, not so small, with the altar, the cushion, nothing more than the place where to do the practice, his daughter, which I think is 8 years old, started to practice every day also, out of her own interests, because there is a space in the house, and she started to see the meaning, and she started to feel comfortable, she started to like it, so she's going there every day, doing the mantras, doing self-healing. So it's important when we create this space in the house, we create a sacred space, a space that when we go in with respect. When we go out with respect. It's not like entering any other room of the house. Similar to that, if we don't have a room and we just make a place where we sit, or we even don't have a fixed place, we can have this little cushion or this piece of cloth that we can make. We can have a nice piece of cloth. We can be made of cotton or wool or brocade, whatever we like. And when we sit on it, it's something sacred. That's a sacred moment. Okay? So we prepare the place of meditation. That's the first thing. As we prepare the place of meditation, once we have the room and so on, before doing the practice, one of the traditional preparations that we do is to clean the place where we will do the meditation. Okay? Cleaning the place of meditation is not only in order to generate respect for what we are about to do, because it's something important, so I must take care of it. At the same time also, it's a way of purifying our mind, cleaning our mind before we start doing the practice. And this tradition comes from the time of Buddha, when there was a disciple. His name was Small Road, and his brother was the Big Road. And basically it's because the family, whenever they had the children would die very, very young, a few weeks old. So they asked to one wise person, and he told, oh look, you need to bring your child when he's born. Next child when he's born, you need to give your child to the hand of a young girl. And she should take the child to a road and ask for the blessings of everybody that passes through. So the first child they gave to a very nice girl with good effort and so on, very dedicated girl. So she took the child to a big road where many people were passing. So many wise men and women and passed by, and they blessed the child. So the name of the child was Big Road. So when the next child was born, they did the same thing, but they gave to another girl, which was a little bit lazy. So she didn't want to walk far away. So she took him to a small road. So the name of the child was Small Road. So, like, this is the way how they used to give names in India was sometimes they had this type of things. Like, for example, Devadatta. Devadatta means a gift from the gods, which means when a family had difficulty having child and they pray a lot to have a child and suddenly they get a child, it was given the name Devadatta, the gift of the gods. Anyhow, what happened is that many years after, the Big Road was a very intelligent boy. Small Road was not intelligent at all. So they were from Brahmin families, and anyhow, Big Road became a disciple of Buddha. And a good disciple, an important disciple. He was very much able in all the practices and teachings and everything. And at a certain point, his brother also became a disciple. He became a monk also. But the difficulty was that Small Road became a disciple of Big Road. And what happened is that he was there listening. His brother was trying to teach him the prayers. So, for example, in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I take refuge unto enlightenment through the practice of generosity and the other perfections. May I reach Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. He was trying to teach him prayers such as this. And whenever his brother was able to memorize the first 2 lines, okay, he would go to the next 2, and when he memorized the next 2 lines, he would forget the first 2. And he would stay the whole day reciting the prayers loudly, what he was supposed to memorize. And even the village people around that were taking care of their cows and planting, they already learned the prayers by heart. And he was, but just by listening to him. And he was never able to even to learn one prayer. So one day his brother got so upset and he didn't know anymore what to do. He said, I tried in all ways. I was gentle, I was harsh, I tried in all ways, but it's impossible to teach you. You cannot understand, you cannot learn anything. So he said to his brother, now go away, I'm sorry. Like, one day he lost completely his patience. And he scolded his brother badly and so on. So Small Road was so upset. And he left crying, saying, oh, you know, my poor brother, he did so much to teach me, but I am so stupid, I am incapable of learning anything. I am not worth of being a monk and being here. So he went away crying. And as he was on his way out, he met Buddha. And Buddha asked, oh, my son, how come you are crying and you are so upset? He said, oh, my brother is so kind to me. He tried to teach me so much, but I am so stupid. I'm not able to learn anything. I am not worth being a monk, and so on. And then Buddha looked at him and said, no, don't worry. I have something for you. He said, oh, it's so very happy. So he said, okay, you come here. You clean the place where the monks do the prayers and outside also. And he was very happy. He had something to do that he could do. So he started cleaning. His work was just to clean, to sweep the floor. And as he was cleaning, he would finish to clean one part, he would go to the next one, and when he would finish the next one, the one before was already dirty again. And then he was the whole day cleaning, and he was very happily cleaning all the time where the monks used to do the prayers and the meditation and everything. He was there cleaning all the time. I don't know for how long, but one day, he starts to have more and more clear in his mind. His mind started to get more and more clear. And suddenly he started to understand. He said, the dirt that I clean is not the dirt of earth. It's the dirt of attachment. The stain that I clean is not the stain of dirt. It's the stain of my defilements. So then he starts to clean, and he starts to understand, I need to clean away attachment with the broom of satisfaction. I need to clean away anger with the broom of love. And then he started to understand all of this. And as he was cleaning, he was actually cleaning his defilements. And his mind became more and more clear, and more clear. Until a point where his mind was so clear in this way that he could listen to the teachings, remember what he was taught, and he gained realizations. He was able to eliminate his own ignorance. Okay? And he became an important teacher during the time of Buddha after that. Okay? So there are many stories about him more in details, but after that, the tradition of cleaning remained. Since that time of Buddha, there's the tradition when we clean something, when we clean the place of meditation, it's a way of respect for it, but it's also a way of purifying our negativities, of making our mind more clear. So as we are cleaning, we imagine the dirt that I clean is not just normal dirt. That's the dirt of anger. That's the dirt of hatred. That's the dirt of attachment, of envy, of jealousy, of selfishness. Okay? So as we go, and when we need to clean away stains, that is more long, it takes more time, then imagine, okay, that's not just the dirt, the normal common dirt of a stain, that's the negative imprints of my own ignorance, of my own anger, and so on. Okay, and I clean it with love, I clean it with wisdom. So by this we do the actual cleaning. So since then there is this tradition of cleaning, and it's said that it's helpful before meditation to clean the place where we'll do the meditation. It helps our mind to be more clear. And like in Tibet, the Dalai Lama has always been the king of Tibet since some centuries. So the most respected person in the whole of Tibet. And he had his own broom. It had a yellow cloth on top that he would use to clean the meditation room before his own practice. So it's not something, okay, I am important, I am not important, it's for beginners or not beginners. It's something for all of us. If we prefer to have a vacuum cleaner with a yellow cloth, it's also okay. We don't need to be a broom, you know. It's the act of cleaning that is important, okay? But it's not like, okay, I have someone to clean. I have a maid coming once a week to clean my meditation room. Okay, but it's good for her also that she's cleaning the meditation room. But this doesn't make the point that we shouldn't clean the place where we practice, okay? It's the act of cleaning more than how clean it becomes, okay? Like in Tibet, they had, like in many monasteries, they added the act of cleaning, but it would not become very clean. So they would do some cleaning every day, more or less, in the gompas, but the real cleaning they would do like once each 7 years, for example, in the Sera monastery. And the cushions, they would get like so much dirt between one and the other that they needed to have a knife to take out the dirt, you know? And it was like, and the floor would get even thicker. And because there was a lot of butter tea falling on the floor, and then they would throw sand on top of it in order for people not to get slippery. So it would get thicker and thicker as the years passed by. Anyhow, the point is that cleaning is not in order for it to become clean, but it's the act of cleaning that is important. Okay? So the first part on the preparation is we prepare the place of meditation. We make an altar. And after that, we clean. The altar normally needs to have 3 main things, which is the representation of body, speech, and mind. So we have one image, which can be a drawing, it can be a picture, normally of Buddha, or of our guru, of a deity like Tara, or one of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, or all the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, you know. We can have many images, but we need at least one image representing the body. Then we have one image, one text representing the speech. So when we put in the altar, we have one text, which can be like a text of Lamrim or the book of self-healing, the 3 main aspects of the path, some sutra, some holy text, which represents the Dharma. If we make a bigger altar, normally the text we put above the statue. So we have the place where we have the statues, and then above we have the place of the texts. because between the Dharma is the most precious thing that we have. It's actually even more important than the Buddha showing us the path, because it's the path that we follow, and this is actually the most precious and most important. Normally, we don't make no difference between the refuges, but if we should make any difference of importance, we would say that taking refuge in the Dharma is more important than taking refuge in the Buddha. Also because if we do not take refuge in the Dharma, we are not even able to take refuge in the Buddha correctly. Okay, so we put the Dharma above, which is represented by the books, holy books. Then we have the representation of mind, of enlightened mind. And the representation of the enlightened mind is done or by a dorje and bell, like this, that we put in the altar, okay? Or by a stupa. Okay, so we can have the image of a stupa, or we can have the image of a dorje and bell, vajra and bell, representing the enlightened mind. So we have in the altar body, speech, and mind. This is the minimum normally we have in the altar. Okay? Then the altar is also something personal, and it should be alive. It should not be something we do there once and we forget about it. That's why once we have finished to have a nice altar, okay, we can put new images and so on. Normally in the altar it is it's helping us for our own visualization. It's helping us to connect with Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, to connect with the holy beings and to our own potential. Okay? Sometimes people put pictures of people in the altar, like friends and family and so on. If you want, you can put maybe, like, for example, in one part of the altar, just like it was a way of remembering to dedicate for them as a requesting of blessings. But normally we don't mix up the pictures of ourselves and family together with the pictures of the Buddhas and the Guru. Okay? Normally we don't do that. I say because sometimes I saw it, so it's just to make things clear. And then, it's important for us to have a relation with the altar. We go there, we make the offerings, we clean it. It's something daily. Like in the Hindu tradition, there is something very nice. The altar are very alive. For example, they have the statues of the deities, and they change clothes of the statues every day. So they have pajama for sleeping, and then they have the nice clothes for summertime, and then winter time, and then they change the clothes. And then even when they take the offering of the food, they make offerings. Instead of putting in the front, they take and they put in the mouth of the statue the offerings of food. You know, there is a very alive tradition. Normally in Buddhism, we do not change clothes of the statues and do things like that. But the point is that the statue is just something representing. But still, it's important for us with the altar to have a relation, something alive. It's not something just there fixed. So sometimes we put a picture, we change something, and then we make offerings because it's representing, at the same time that the altar is representing the holy beings. We do also what we call rabne, which means to stabilize well the blessings. So in a way that the holy beings become inseparable with the commitment being, which is the representation we have there. So it's not just a representation, it is inseparable of the holy beings themselves. Okay? So there are blessings within it. So we create a relation with the altar. And in that way, once we have the altar done, we don't need to remake the altar every day. We just have the altar there. Then we put the offerings. It's also part of the preparation. When we do the offerings, minimum we can do 1 incense, 1 candle, 1 flower. But it's good also if we have the water offerings. Water is something that is pure. And at the same time also, it is something very accessible for all of us. Because we shouldn't offer something that we have a lot of attachment to. In other words, we can offer something that we like very much, but we should not offer with attachment. As I am putting the offerings, oh, maybe that little bit too much, let me put less. No, we should offer with a free mind. That's why water represents life, represents purity, but at the same time also, it's something that we can have easy, no? Like in Thera, there was a very pure water source, like 1 hour away walking from the monastery in the mountains. In many, not so many, but I could say quite few monks, they would wake up very early before dawn, And then they would walk up to this water source, get the water, walk back, so 1 hour going, 1 hour coming back, and they would use this water only to make the offerings. So every day they would make their morning walk to take the offerings, water, come back, and then they will make the water offerings with this water. And so it's the meaning like we offer the best that we have. Okay? So normally when we have the water bowls, we have 7 water bowls, which represents water for drinking, water for washing the feet. Then after that, we have flour, incense, light, perfume, food. And then we have the 8th offering that is music, that we can put something representing music like a singing bowl or a bell or a conch, okay? Something like that. So as we do the offerings, it's something important because by making offerings is one of the methods that we have to cultivate faith, respect, gratitude, because through material things we manifest our feelings and emotions also. So for example, when I make a present to a person that I really like and love, I'm going to do the best that I have. If I need to give a present to someone that, okay, is something from my job and I need to give a present because I need to give a present, most probably I will just recycle something I have at home. You know, then okay, then I get rid of something I don't need and I give something to that person. This is one possibility. You know? But if I really love the person, if I really respect the person, if I really care for the person, what am I going to do? I can even recycle something, but I'm going to look for the best. So when we, through material things, actually we do manifest our feelings and emotions and so on. So by making the material offerings is a way how we also cultivate our faith, respect, gratitude, which is very important for our own practice. Okay? So we do the offerings. Once we have done the offerings, then we need to have also prepare the place where we sit, the place of meditation. The place of meditation must be a comfortable place. It's comfortable, but it's not too comfortable in the sense like a sofa. Okay? It's like it's a comfortable place, but at the same time, we need to have some dignity as we sit in it. It's like, need to, how to say, our mind, we cannot fall asleep. It's like, okay, I need a comfortable place to meditate, so we have a nice sofa or something like that. So normally, what do we mean by that? The cushion where we sit. If we have difficulties sitting cross-legged, we can sit in a chair also. The most important thing is when we sit, we need to have our back straight. So for that reason, normally we have a cushion that is soft, but not too soft. And then we have another cushion so that our back is a little bit higher, our knees a little bit lower. And this is very important to keep our back straight. Okay? And what we can do also, if we have one fixed place where we do our meditation, is that below our cushion, we can put the drawing of a double dorje, a double vajra. Or also there is a tradition to draw a swastika, clockwise swastika, white in color, which symbolizes stability. Okay, I know in our culture we have some difficulty with the swastika because we remember of Hitler and Nazis and so on, but actually it's a symbol that is very, very, very old symbol. And I don't know if here we have it also or not. No, in this one not. Originally here is not the infinite knot. Originally here there is the swastika. But because in the West, people start to, in the beginning when Buddhism was coming to the West and they had it thrown with this, then they were saying, oh, do you have something to do with Hitler or something like that? Or people were having this type of doubts. What was Buddhism had to do with the swastika? And has nothing to do. I remember one time I was in south of Italy in Ercolano, which is this, I don't know, maybe 3,000 years old town, which was covered by the volcano, so they recovered it. And there was, for example, I remember one day I was walking there, it was in one of the courtyards, there was a beautiful drawing of a swastika. Okay? So it's a very, very old symbol in India, in Tibet, in many parts of the world. And it represents in Buddhism stability. Okay? So I believe that we should not make problems with it. We shouldn't leave a stigma on it. We should just remember which is its true meaning, which is stability. Okay? But we can draw where we sit or with swastika or a double vajra. Both of them are fine. They have the same meaning. The double vajra is the one is here in the middle, and it represents stability. So if we have a fixed place where we meditate, we make below our cushion, we put a double vajra, and we can have an 8-petal lotus with the double vajra inside. And then on top of it, we put a little bit of what is called the kusha grass and the durva grass. Okay? The kusha grass is one type of grass that in India they use for the broom to clean the floor. And it is in order to eliminate impurities. Okay? And the turva grass is another type of grass which Buddha used. It's for long life, and Buddha used this grass to make his own seat of meditation. So when he went to meditate, he took this grass around and he made his own cushion out of this grass. So it's a way for us to remember Buddha, and we say, okay, I will follow the same path. So we just put a little bit of these two grasses under our seat in a symbolic way. Okay?
The name of the second grass?
It's Turva, with D-U-R-W-A. Durva grass. And I have no idea how it's called in English. It's called the Tsadurva. And Tsadurva is like, it's long with many little knots in between. Okay? And anyhow, so we have these two grasses, and it's possible to get them also. So we put them under the seat. Normally what we do is that we put the kusha grass with the points looking inwards, two, one from the front and one from the right side looking inwards. And then with the turva grass, we make a little circle with it, and then we put them below our sit, okay? And then when we sit, we remind ourselves, we remember, okay, I am following the path of Buddha, just in the same way that Buddha sat and meditated to reach enlightenment, so I am doing also, okay? So we have our place of meditation. We prepare it nicely, beautifully, carefully. And it's something like, for example, in monasteries, it's very common, at least it has been very common, that monks have a very simple life. But their place of meditation, they make the best. So, for example, the implements, they will keep money for a long time, and then they will put all the money to buy a golden and a silver Dorjen bell, and then the best of the offering bowls made out of silver, and they will have like the best that they can. Why? Because it's investing energy in the priorities that you give. Okay? So you make the best of the altar. We really invest the best that we can in the place of meditation, which means I give importance to it. It's the energy that I invest in it. The more I invest, the more I get back. Okay? So we make the beautiful place for our meditation, and with this we conclude the first part of preparation. The second part of preparation is we need to prepare the correct position of body and the correct position of mind, okay, before we start any practice. So actually the position itself is already part of the practice, but before we start visualizing anything, before we start reciting anything, thinking about anything specifically, we need first to have a correct position of body and a correct position of mind. So the correct position of body is called the 7 or 8 postures of Vajrayana. Buddha Vajrayana is also the embodiment of the pure aggregate of form. So it's also representing the body, representing the form. That's why it's called the postures of Vajrayana. It's called 7 or 8 because they are basically 7, and then there is the last one, which it's always there, but it can be part of the position or not, because it's not specifically a position of the body. Okay, but we will see that. So the first thing that is important is we need to have our back straight. Okay, So this is the first part of the position. Our back should be straight, but it shouldn't be tense. So we shouldn't keep like the chest upwards. We should keep the back straight, just as if we had like a string attached to our crown. How do you call it in English? The fontanella, how do you call that? Fontanella, okay. And it's just slightly taking up, pushing upwards, pulling upwards, very slightly. Then, so the back is straight. The legs, okay. Normally we have what we call the Vajra position, okay. There are different ways how we can sit. I will show you normally what is like the more complete way. Okay. In which we sit with both of our foot on top of our thighs. Okay. Why this is the best position? Because when we are like this, naturally our back will become straight. We don't need to put any effort to have the back straight. Normally when we have the back straight, we need to put always some effort and some strength in our lower back. No? When we sit like this, the back simply fits perfect, and we don't need to put any effort to keep the back straight. But when we talk about the position of meditation, the first thing is sit in a comfortable position. Okay? And if this is not comfortable, it's better not to sit like that. Better to do some yoga first, to prepare ourselves. After some years, or maybe next life, we're able to sit in this position. It's okay. So what happens is that the most important is we need to be in a comfortable position, okay, with our back straight. So if we can sit like this, it's the best. Otherwise, we have the half lotus or the half Vajra position with one foot under and the other one on top. Okay? If I need to sit for a long time, that's the position I personally prefer. Okay? But just to give the explanation complete, the right position is that in between our two legs, it should be the distance of our forearm. Okay? This is the distance that we should have in between the two knees. Okay? But anyhow, for me, the position that I personally prefer is the position with one foot above and one below. That's when sitting for a long time after, because when I sit with the complete Vajra position, I can do it easily, but after some time I start to get some pain. Maybe after 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever, I start to get pain. And then where the mind goes, it's the place where it's painful, and I don't want to get acquainted with my pain. I need to get acquainted with my meditation. Okay? So this is one point. It's true that the more correct is the position of our leg, the better we can keep a long time without having any difficulty for our back. Okay? Then if it's difficult for us to sit like this, then we can sit with both legs foot under, or we can also sit in a chair. There are different ways of sitting. For example, in Thailand, the monks have the tradition to sit with the right leg behind and the left leg in front. Personally, I never tried it very much. But this is another way of sitting. So there are different ways how we can sit. The important way, I think, is that our back should be straight. Okay? So this is the position of our legs and the position of our back. So we have two. One legs, two back. Then we have the shoulders. The shoulders need to be relaxed. We should be careful not to have the shoulders tense. Okay? Sometimes even like when we do self-healing, I see that we keep our shoulders tense without even perceiving it. For example, we do a mudra, no? And actually my shoulders are tense. Okay? When we do the mudras, normally we have the tendency to keep the shoulders a little bit to the front, and we some tension. Instead, we need to relax them. Okay? The shoulders need to be relaxed. Then we have the head is slightly forward, like if our chin is in the direction of our chest. Okay? And then we have, so the head is slightly forward, the arms. So we have the right hand is above the left hand. and the two thumbs joined together at the height of our navel. Okay? So if we sit in the correct Vajra posture, this is exactly the right height in which we should just put our hands on the 2 foot. But instead, when we are not in that position, in order to keep at the right height, sometimes we create some tension. And then we have tension in all the arm, and that's not good. So one thing that we can do is that we put on our lap some cloth, okay, so that we can rest our hands at the right height, okay? And then we joint our thumbs. It is said by jointing the thumbs, it will stimulate our inner fire, inner heat. That's why I think in Tibet, the monks always meditate with the thumbs together, and in Thailand, they meditate with the thumbs not together. So in Thailand, this is the position, like this. While in Tibet, it's with the thumbs touching each other. Because I think in Tibet, you need inner heat. In Thailand, you need inner aircon, no? Because it's the other way around. So anyhow, following our tradition from Tibet, we put the 2 thumbs together, okay? And the arms shouldn't be touching the body, but we are creating the shape of a triangle, okay? And this position, we have few triangles, one between the fingers, one with the whole arm and the body, and another 2 triangles between each arm. And the triangle is the symbol of concentration, okay? So we have the arms and the hands, and then, so we have 1 leg, 2 back, 3 shoulders, 4 head, 5 arms, and leg and hands. And then we have the 6, we have the mouth, and the 7, we have the eyes. So the mouth is relaxed, just in a natural position, with the teeth are not touching each other strongly. They're just in the natural closed position of the mouth. And the tongue, the tip of the tongue is touching the palate, not behind, but just if we follow with our tongue the tooth, there is a point where it goes a little bit backwards and then it goes to the front again. So that's where we rest our tongue. Okay? The reason for that is that by resting the tongue in our palate in front, this relaxes the body, first thing. And second thing is that when we are for a long time in meditation, every small movement of our body, we feel it very strongly, even the swallowing of the saliva. So by keeping the tongue in this position, we have no need to swallow the saliva. Otherwise, what can happen is that if we just keep the tongue in a normal position and we meditate, to swallow the saliva is a strong movement, and maybe we are so well concentrated, I hope, that we don't even feel like swallowing the saliva. So what happens is that or we get disturbed in our meditation, or the saliva starts to follow from our mouth, which is okay, not so nice, but not a big deal. And so if we put the tongue in the right position, this will relax our body, and also we have no need to swallow the saliva, okay? The eyes are slightly closed, looking downwards. We imagine the direction of our eyes is like if we lay down in front of us, completely like a long prostration. That's the distance where we should be looking at, okay? More or less, don't force too much. Just look downwards naturally. In some texts it says we should look at the tip of your nose. And some people say, oh, I get a headache when I try to meditate because looking at the tip of my nose. It depends also on the size of the nose of each one. It's true, no? So the point is not that we need to see the tip of our nose. The point is that we need to look downwards, okay? And the eyes is like almost not completely closed and not completely open. They're slightly closed, looking downwards. So with this, we have the 7 postures. So we have 1 leg, 2 back, 3 shoulders, 4 head, 5 hand, 6 mouth, 7 eyes. Then the 8th posture is the breath. That's why sometimes it's inside, sometimes it's not, because it's not the physical posture that we have specifically. It's the way how we breathe. Okay? But it's very important. So it's also part of the posture. So as we sit in the correct position, we would just observe our breath, and we will gradually let our breath to go below our navel. Normally, very often we have our own breath is more or less in our chest. Okay? During meditation, we need to try to bring our breath lower. So we breathe with our belly, we let the air go below our navel, and we breathe in a 4 cycle breathing, which means inhale, keep, exhale, keep. Okay? So there are these 4 steps of the breathing. Okay? So we are aware of these 4 steps. I inhale, I keep the air, exhale, keep the air, inhale again. Okay? So we do in that way. So when we have the awareness of our breath and we are breathing in the correct way, sitting in the correct position, we have concluded the preparation of the preparation. The preparation for the preliminary practices. Okay? So, the next step that we need to prepare, we have prepared the position of the body. The next part is the position of the mind. Okay? Before we generate the motivation, we need first of all to have our mind in a clear state. Okay? If I go to meditate and I am driven at that moment by great attachment or by great aversion or fear, it's going to be very difficult for me to meditate or to generate any positive thoughts. So first I need to bring my mind to a neutral state at least. This is because it's not possible for us to generate a positive thought based on a negative thought. For example, if I am feeling anger, before I can feel compassion or love, I need to go through a neutral state. I cannot go from anger to love. Okay? So what we will do here is the part where we prepare the mind by bringing the mind to a neutral state. And we do that with the breathing meditation. And there are different techniques that we can use. The one that is taught by Rinpoche in self-healing is the 9-cycle breathing meditation that I will explain now. Okay? So we have sat in the right position. We observe our breath. And then what we do is we will visualize our central channel, the left and the right channel. Okay? There are 2 ways how we can visualize this. One way is, as I explained yesterday, we have the central channel, and then the left and the right channel that they take turns, like they go around, okay? They twine around the central channel. The other way that we can visualize is more simple, is that we simply visualize the left and the right channel going straight nearby the central channel, and then 3 fingers below the navel, it enters the central channel. Okay? So the 2 visualizations are okay. What we will do basically is that we will inhale from one side and exhale from the other. Okay? And as we inhale, we imagine that we receive the blessings, and then as they enter through our nostril, it pushes all the negativities that we have, okay? All the impurities of our energy. This practice is called Lung Ro Gudrup. Lung Ro, Ro means actually corpse in Tibetan, but also means something rotten, something old, okay? So Lung means energy. So it's to the 9 breathing meditation to eliminate the old negative energy that we have accumulated. Okay? Like the rotten energy, some blocked energy that we have. So as we breathe in, for example, first from the left side, we imagine that as the air goes in, it will push all the dirt, all the negative, like all the blocked energy, through our left channel. Then it will go inside the right channel, and then it will push again outside, and it will go out from the other side. Okay? So then we do this cleaning from both sides. The channels are directly connected to our two energies of attraction and aversion. Okay? So the blockages that we create in our right channel are actually connected to attraction, attachment, desire, and so on. And the blockages which are created in our left channel are connected directly to aversion, anger, hatred, and so on. Okay? So as we do this breathing meditation, we clean our mind from attraction and aversion. So we do it in the following way. First we are seated, and then we visualize our 3 channels. Then after that we do what's called the Vajra fist, which is we put the thumb at the root of our ring finger. And then we close the hands. We bring the 2 hands forward. Then we start with the left hand under the right hand, under our armpit. And then we put the index finger and the middle finger forward. And with the index finger, we touch the back of the middle finger. Okay? So we do this. And then here there are 2 traditions. One that with the right hand we start closing the right nostril. Another one with the right hand we start closing the left nostril. Okay, I have seen texts of both traditions, valid texts of our own lineage, which are explaining in both ways. So I think there is not that much difference. So to make more simple, let's say with the right hand we start closing the right nostril. Okay? But both the ways are correct. So we close, and then we will inhale deeply. As we inhale, we imagine the air going in through the nostril, going first up, then in the air going down, and we take the air below our navel. We can even swallow at this moment. It helps to bring the energy down. Okay? When we finish to inhale, we swallow a little bit, and then we bring the energy down below the navel, and then we keep it like in our navel, okay, the air. And then we go to the other side, and then we exhale. As we exhale in 3 times. And as we exhale 3 times, we send the energy again up from our navel, out from the other channel, and we imagine that all the blockages are completely gone away. Okay? And we will do this for 3 times. Okay? We'll do this 3 times slowly. Then when we finish the 3rd time, as we keep the breath, we go back with the hands to the front. We go to the other side. And then we'll do the same thing on the opposite side. Okay, so now it's just explaining, so you understand how we do. Then, important thing for me is like when we inhale, even like this, you imagine, you feel the energy, the air going in, then going down. And then when it's going down, when we finish to inhale, we can just swallow very slightly. And then we bring the energy down, and it's kept exactly like 3 fingers below the navel. And then when we exhale, it continues, and then it gets out from the other side, cleaning completely our channel. So we do this from both sides. Once we have finished from both sides, then we sit, we put the 2 hands in the posture of meditation. Then we inhale from both nostrils. We imagine the air going in through the two nostrils, through two channels. And then we keep the air below our navel, where they joint. And then when we exhale, we imagine the air going up through the central channel and cleaning the central channel. Okay? Actually, if we think, even through our breath, our whole respiratory system is connected in the area of our forehead also. No? So actually our nose is much bigger than what we imagine. No? What is not. This is just a small part of our nose. So like the air can go through our central channel and then go out again. Okay? So in this point, it's not important to exhale very strongly. Sometimes people have the idea that they need to go very strong, okay? That's not so important. The important thing is that we observe the air going in, we bring it down to the navel, and then we exhale completely all the air again. At this point, we can exhale only with 1 time exhaling or 3 times exhaling, okay? Because sometimes, if we are not so used to exhaling 3 times, it becomes difficult with both nostrils, okay? So the important thing is that we send all the air out, and we do this 3 times. So by doing this, it's already a very powerful exercise, okay? The 9-circle breathing or cleaning breathing meditation, it's very powerful meditation just by itself like this. So sometimes, even if we don't have time to do self-healing and many other things, just do this. We already feel benefit. Okay? Then, after that, once we have done this, we finished the breathing through the 2 channels. We concentrate that our central channel is stable and clean. The energy can flow very naturally through the left and right channel and through the central channel mostly. And then what we will do is we will simply observe our breath. So we remain in that position, and we simply follow with the mind the air that goes in through the 2 nostrils and then goes in the central channel, fills the central channel. Then as we exhale, go out, and we just remain in this cycle of breathing for as long as we can, which can be, we can count up to 7, we can count up to 21, okay? Normally, we stay counting up to the moment that we see that our mind is not calm, okay? Which means free from objects of attraction and aversion, not running everywhere, okay? In the beginning, maybe we need to count a lot. So do not get too stressed by, oh, I must get my mind completely. It's not like trying to control the mind. It's trying to relax the mind, okay? So we may start by counting up to 7, and then we continue with the rest of the practice. And then slowly, slowly, it will become easier up to a point where we just sit down, we inhale, exhale, and already we bring our mind to a state of balance. Okay? When we do the counting, normally I do that inhale, exhale 1. With the finger, I'm just showing what I follow with the mind. No, normally we don't do it with the finger, but you inhale, exhale 2. Okay? And like this we go counting. If in the middle of the way we see that our mind lost the number of count because we start thinking about something else, go back to 1. Okay? And this is a practice by itself, it's a meditation by itself. Okay? But in self-healing, this is part of the preparation. As a preparation to get our mind in a more neutral and calm state, okay? So this is something that is important for us to train ourselves, to learn. It's not the ultimate practice. It's a good practice, but it's an important practice. It's making the foundation, okay? So we'll do some breathing, and then after that, we can start to generate the correct motivation. Okay, So this is, as we go through the preliminary practices, with this we conclude the preparation for the preliminary practices, okay, in which we have prepared the right position of the posture of the body and the right posture of the mind, which is bringing our mind to a neutral, calm state. Okay? Now, after that, we will go through the actual preliminary practices. The actual preliminary practices they are divided into few parts. Let me see. We have, first of all, generating love towards ourselves, generating love towards others, inviting. Then we have the next part, which is transforming the environment and making offerings, preparing the offerings and the environment. Then we have inviting the merit field, making the 7 limb prayers, requesting the blessings. Okay? So we have the first part, which is taking refuge, which is generating love towards ourselves, generating the bodhicitta, which is generating love towards others. Then after that, we have the transformation of the, so after that we have actually generating the correct motivation, okay? And then we have generating ourselves in a pure form as the deity. By that, this is inside actually the part which is purifying the environment, transforming the offerings, inviting the merit field, generating the merit field and inviting the wisdom beings. Then after that, we have the 7 limb prayers and the requesting of the blessings. Okay? This is what we do. If we do Guru Puja, we do it. If we do the normal preliminary practices, we do. That's the normal process of doing preliminary practices. Okay? So we'll see one by one. First thing that we do is taking refuge. So what we will do is that before we generate demotivation, we need to generate love towards ourselves and love towards others. Okay? So love towards ourselves we do by taking refuge. As we said yesterday, love towards ourselves is to have clear what is good for me, what is bad for me, and to have the determination to abandon what is bad and to accomplish what is good. Okay? So that's we do when we take refuge. So as we did today, this morning, we did a practice, and in the beginning I explained, okay, we visualize Guru Buddha in front of us in the appearance as Buddha Shakyamuni, inseparable of our gurus and all Buddhas. And then we observe ourselves, and we see our own defilements, we see our own suffering, and we develop this deep and strong wish to be free from suffering. Okay? It's important at this point to develop this strong determination. I want to be free from samsara. I don't want anymore to live in a way that I am totally driven by anger, jealousy, pride, miserliness, selfishness, ignorance. And then I do negative actions out of these defilements, and out of that I have suffering, and then I react again with defilements. I am tired of it. I don't want anymore to be in samsara. We develop this deep and strong intention. With that, we say, I must do something, but I need help. Because alone I don't know what to do. So Guru Buddha, please bless me. Please grant me refuge so that I may be able to really develop my qualities, to practice the Dharma correctly. So we take refuge in the Buddha that shows us the path. We take refuge in the Dharma, the actual path to follow. We take refuge in the Sangha, the spiritual company during our path. And we take refuge in the Guru, that is the embodiment of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Okay? This is called the refuge of the cause. Okay? And as we do the prayer of taking refuge with Namo Gurubhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, we imagine from the 5 chakras of Guru Buddha in front of us, light and nectar coming of the 5 colors, white, red, blue, yellow, and green, and absorbing into our 5 chakras. blessing us, blessing our body, speech, mind, quality, and action, so in a way that we can develop our own qualities. And we concentrate on this strong connection that is created between us and Guru Buddha, that is indestructible connection that is there between us. And then if we already have taken refuge before, every time we make this connection stronger and more stable. Okay? So this is as we take refuge, and the state of mind that we need to generate is the mind of love towards ourselves, in which we say, I must do the best for me. So I ask Guru Buddha for help because I want to do the best for myself. I want to abandon all negativities, all negative actions. I need to accomplish all positive actions and qualities, and for that I take refuge. Okay? So this is the state of mind that we generate. The visualization that we do is the light and nectar absorbing our chakras. And what we recite is Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Okay? In the beginning, we can even do retreat of this. It's when we do retreat of the preliminaries, we do Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, up to 100,000 times. Okay? And then we do the visualization, we generate the right state of mind. We can also do the same retreat doing Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Guru Bhye. Then after we do Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. It's possible to do also like that. And as we do this retreat, why? Because by doing it many times, we get more familiarized with the state of mind we generate, with the actual visualization we do, so that after when we do 3 times, we go back to that state of mind. Okay? So this is the first part of the preliminary practices, which is generating love towards ourselves, taking refuge. It's the refuge of the cause. The second part is called generating the bodhicitta, or taking the refuge of result, or the resultant refuge in generating bodhicitta. Okay? What we do in this part is that we visualize around us all sentient beings. It's possible to visualize already before. And we all of them take refuge together with us. But I prefer normally first to concentrate on myself, then I concentrate after on all sentient beings around me. So we visualize all the sentient beings. There are many ways of visualizing them. The way that I personally like is I visualize on my right side my father, on the left side my mother. It doesn't matter if they are still alive or not. We can visualize them, father and mother. Nearby our father and mother, we put our grandparents, our husband, wife, daughters, sons, friends, everybody that we love, that we like. We visualize on our sides. Okay? Normally, our gurus, we visualize them inseparable from Guru Buddha in front of us, or sitting together with Guru Buddha. Around Buddha, we see them sitting together with Guru Buddha in front of us. Then behind us, we have all those to whom we are totally indifferent. All sentient beings. They are animals, insects, human beings. They are all in the form, normally we visualize all them in the form of human beings. And they are sick, dirty, symbolizing their suffering and defilements. And they are infinite, like hundreds of billions of sentient beings around us, like an ocean of people around behind us. And but we try to see each one of them one by one, like look at them in the eyes. And then in front of us, we have all those to whom we have aversion and difficulty, the so-called enemies. Okay? Can be someone that I know personally, someone that I don't know personally, but though sometimes we create enemies, ideological enemies, people like of public people or historical persons, that we have never really met them, but for somehow we have aversion towards them. No? So we visualize anyone to whom we have aversion, we visualize in front of us. Okay? Below Guru Buddha. Guru Buddha is above. Then under, more near to us, is those to whom we have aversion. Hopefully we don't have so many so they fit in front of us. No? Sometimes some people ask me, oh, but I don't know if to put on the side or in front. Based on the category, it should be on the side, but based on my feeling, it should be in front. Okay, what is important here is how we feel. Okay, so even if it's our father, mother, son, daughter, husband, wife, it doesn't matter, family or friends, if in this moment we have a lot of aversion, it should be in front. Okay, so once we visualize all sentient beings around us, we start to observe them. We start to look at each one of them in their eyes, and we see that they suffer. We see that in the same way that I suffer. And when I was taking refuge, I had this strong wish to be free from suffering. They also want to be free from suffering, but they don't know how. And then I first look to those on my sides, and I see there is no difference between them. They all want to be happy. They all want to be free from suffering. They are all guided by their own ignorance. Then what happens is that we open our eyes to those behind us. And we see that those behind suffer in the same way. And then we do the same thing with those in front of us. Up to a point where we look at all of them and there is no more difference between side, back, or front. Everyone suffers. Everyone wants to be happy. Everyone do whatever they do thinking is the best for their own happiness. So we make no distinction between them. Okay? By doing that, we observe again the suffering of every sentient being, and we start gradually to develop a deep sensation and wish, may everyone be happy. May everyone be free from suffering. Okay? If we do here the practice in a more extensive way, we can do the meditation of Tonglen, of taking and giving. We can here do the 7 causes and results meditation, which means recognizing all sentient beings and as our mothers. Then after that, generating gratitude, the wish to repay back the gratitude, generating love, compassion, the intention to do something for their benefit, and finally, wishing to reach enlightenment for their benefit. There are different practices that we can do at this point, okay? The important thing is that we generate this deep, strong intention to feel that may everyone be free from suffering. And as we generate this intention, we start to feel something from our heart, and we say, I must do something. My own suffering that we were thinking before, it's nothing compared to the suffering of everyone around me. So I must do something to help them. And then we feel frustrated. Because we look at ourselves and we say, what can I do to help others, really? Nothing, really. Not much. So we have no other choice than developing our own qualities. So we develop this strong and deep intention in which we say, I must develop my qualities to their maximum potential. I must reach Buddhahood. I must eliminate my defilements completely, which means reaching Buddhahood, reaching enlightenment, which means to eliminate completely all mental defilements, to develop our qualities to their maximum potential, because that's the only way in which I can be really of benefit for everyone. Otherwise, I can help many people in different ways, but I cannot really adapt myself to the mentality and need of each and every one. I'm not able to do that. I can help those that are more similar to me, but not more than that. And the more wisdom I have, the better I can help others. So we generate this strong intention, and by that we take refuge in the Buddha that one day we will become. This is now the part which is called the refuge of resultant refuge. I take refuge in my own potential of enlightenment. I take refuge in the Buddha that I one day will become. I take refuge in the Dharma, which is the pure state of mind that one day I will develop. And at the same time, I take refuge in my daily spiritual practice. I take refuge in the Sangha, which is the perfect spiritual company that one day I will become. And in my own ability of helping others since this very right moment. Then I take refuge also before, together, I take refuge in the Guru, that one day I will become inseparable of the Guru, and in my own potential of enlightenment. Okay. So by that, we recite the prayer, Sangye Chedan Soge Chonamla, Janjo Bardo Dani Kyabsuchi, Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonam Gitrola Penjit Sangye Drubrasho. And as we do this practice, as we do this prayer, we take refuge in our own potential of enlightenment, in our practice, in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha that one day we will become. Okay? So This is a very important part of taking refuge because it means also recognizing our own potential. So this is the part in which we develop love towards others. Not only we wish others to be happy, but we make a determination to do something about it. And we say, I will develop my qualities, I will reach enlightenment in order to help all sentient beings. So as we do this prayer and we develop this wish, we visualize that Guru Buddha in front of us sends an emanation. So another emanation of Guru Buddha comes toward us, enters to our crown, inside our central channel, sits in our heart. And as Guru Buddha sits in our heart, our very subtle body, speech, and mind becomes inseparable with the body, speech, and mind of Guru Buddha. So our mind expands. We experience infinite inner space. We experience a great love and compassion and wisdom. It's like, imagine someone like, let's say, like Rinpoche, like Lama, and suddenly our mind becomes one and inseparable with his. So we have no more jealousy, no more envy, no more problem here, problem there. Our mind simply becomes infinite space. So we imagine at that moment that this happens. We feel the pleasure of it for one moment. And then from our heart, inseparable of the heart of Guru Buddha, many emanations of Buddha goes out, many lights and nectar goes out, going to every sentient being around us. And there is an important part here, which is when we do such visualizations of emanations of light and nectar to go to sentient beings, we do it in different parts of the practice, but there is one thing that is, we are not visualizing that the light and nectar is going out and eliminating the suffering of others. The light and nectar and the emanation of Buddhas, as they go out and go to a sentient being, first they manifest in whatever form they need at that moment. So if they are hungry, it's in the form of food. If they are thirsty, in the form of water. If they are sick, in the form of healing and medicine. If they are lonely, in the form of company. It's like manifesting in accordance to what they need. If they are feeling too much heat, it's the form of coolness. And like this, we go on. Okay? Why? Because first, sentient beings need to deal with their basic needs. Then after, they can practice the Dharma. So we manifest in the form to satisfy whatever basic needs they have. And after that, the lights and nectar and the emanations of Buddha manifest to every sentient being in the form of the Dharma teachings, showing them the path of loving themselves, of loving others, developing renunciation, bodhicitta, correct view of reality, generation stage, completion stage. So basically, the emanations guide the sentient beings up to enlightenment. It's not like, oh, they go there and just eliminate the suffering. No, it's guiding everyone through the path to enlightenment. And in this way, we are simulating the holy activities of a Buddha. Okay? So we imagine that the light and nectar emanates, and they guide every sentient being, first helping them with what they need more momentarily. So food and shelter and love and everything that the people need. And once they have their basic needs, then they need the Dharma. And then by that, the emanations become in the form of the teachings. And then we imagine that they understand the teachings, they practice, they realize it. And then gradually they reach the state of enlightenment. Once they reach the state of well-being and happiness and satisfaction of enlightenment, then once again, the lights and nectar emanations come back and reabsorb into our heart. Okay? This visualization we do as we do the prayer, Semchen Tamchen Dewadan, Dewe Gyudan, Dembar Gyurchi, Semchen Tamchen Dungedan, Dungagi Gyudan, Tawar Gyurchi, and so on, which are the 4 limitless and the 3 specific prayers. Okay? We also call them the 7 limitless. Originally, Buddha taught the 4 limitless, which is limitless love, limitless compassion, limitless joy, and limitless equanimity. And so as we say, may all beings have happiness and its causes, may all beings be free from suffering and its causes, may all beings never be separated from the great happiness that is beyond all misery, may all beings dwell in equanimity, unaffected by attraction to dear ones and aversion to others. So we make these 4 prayers, and then we added, Lama Ganchen added to it another 3 prayers. The 3 prayers which he called Tseme Shidan Chemun Sum. Chemun means specific dedication, specific prayers for our times, which is a dedication, a prayer for health, for environment, and for peace. Okay? So then we make also this, so we make the 7 limitless. So we have limitless love, limitless compassion, limitless joy, which means rejoicing, limitless equanimity, then limitless health, environmental health, physical health, environmental health, and peace. So this is the 7 limitless prayers that we do. As we do the 7 limitless prayers, we visualize the light and nectar emanating from our heart, going to all sentient beings, coming back and reabsorbing into our heart. What's the state of mind that we generate? Love and compassion towards others. Okay? And the joy of having them, of others being well. So when we imagine that other sentient beings are free from suffering, we experience great joy out of that also. And also we also practicing equanimity because we make no more difference between one and the other. Okay? So basically, we are really practicing the state of mind that we generate is a state of mind of love, of compassion, of rejoicing, and of equanimity. Okay? With this, we conclude the second part of the preliminary practices, which is generating love towards others, or generating the bodhicitta. Okay? We call it generating because we don't have it spontaneously. So we self-induce ourselves in this state of mind. By making the visualizations, by reciting the prayers, we are supposed to induce ourselves into the states of mind. That's the power of it. If we simply recite, I'm hungry, what I'm going to have for lunch. If we are thinking about that, well, it's not working, you know. And in the monastery, there is even a way of saying that it became a sort of a joke, but actually it's more serious than a joke. But when a person does something without thinking much about it, you know, sometimes we just do things without thinking, you know, not deeply really. The way of saying that you didn't do it well, let's say you do a job. You need to, I don't know, write something, you need to prepare something, you need to make the offerings, then I come and I say, oh, the offerings are all not done nicely. Where was your mind when you were doing it? You were not really present as you was doing it. The way of saying is, how did you do? Were you doing it for the benefit of all sentient beings? Which means not really doing it well. Which means not really thinking about it. When we say, when something is not done well, we say, oh, this was done for the benefit of all sentient beings. Drola pencher. Lega di drola pencher chesha. This work was done for the benefit of all sentient beings means it was not done well. Why it's used like this? Because when we say, in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I take refuge into enlightenment, with the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I reach enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. Do I really think of it? Am I really doing it for the benefit of all sentient beings, or is it just out of my mouth just saying? Okay? So it can happen that we are just saying it. So it's somehow a way that, I don't know whoever started with this in the monastery, but it's a way of saying, okay, we need really to do it really, to think about it, not just to say for the benefit of all sentient beings. Because just to say it, no much benefit in it, no much point. So our mind should go together with our words. So when we say for the benefit of all sentient beings, we should feel it. So the visualization helps a lot. If together with the prayer, we put the visualization together, and then we generate the state of mind, then it's something very powerful. Okay? So this is when we do the generation of the bodhicitta. The more we do it, the easier it will become. But there is one important thing. We should be very careful. If we are beginners or if we are practitioners already for a long time, we should be very careful not to follow and not to fall down in what is called Tantric in Tibetan. I don't know how to translate it exactly. I think trek means also like somehow a sort of a cover, something that is like a sort of a thick skin or something like that, and made out of dirt that something cannot go inside, and Chur means Dharma. Okay? The example is when sometimes we get so used to do prayers and to say things that they don't touch anymore our heart. We need to be very careful for that not to happen. Okay, Papunka Rinpoche describes this as when we have a container made out of leather, and where in Tibet they used to put butter inside the leather container. And after a long time that the butter is in there, the leather absorbs so much butter that afterwards you can take completely all the butter out and you put new butter, it will not absorb anymore. Okay? So sometimes we do the prayers so many times, we are such a long time nearby the Dharma that we just say the prayers, but they don't touch anymore our heart. We should be careful for that not to happen. The example that Papunka Rinpoche gives, how it should be, he says, imagine, for instance, when you have a strong object of attraction, of desire. You can know your object of attraction very well. But if someone comes and starts talking about it to you, what happens to our attraction? It gets stronger or weaker, or the same? It gets stronger. If I have an object of aversion and someone comes to you and say, oh, that person, how bad he is, have you seen what he has done? I know exactly what the person is talking about. But the more the person talks about my object of aversion, what happens to my aversion? It gets stronger. Like I start tickling inside, or something happens inside of us. If we are sad about something, or if we miss someone, and someone comes and starts talking about that person, oh, how nice that person is, and this and that, what happened to our sadness? It gets stronger. Similar to that, when we say, may all beings have happiness and its causes, may they be free from suffering and its causes, the wish that sentient beings may be free from suffering and may be happy should get stronger inside of us. When we say, in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I take refuge into enlightenment through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, which means through the practice of generosity, morality, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom, may I reach enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. As we say this, the wish to reach enlightenment should get stronger and stronger, together with the compassion for others. Okay? In order for that to happen, it's important for us to join together with the recitation, the visualization. Okay? But remember, we have three parts: recitation, visualization, and state of consciousness that we generate. Okay? So, with this, we conclude the part of taking refuge and generating the bodhicitta. And together with generating the bodhicitta, we have the limitless, 7 limitless, 4 or 7 limitless. Now, we have the next part, which is called generating the motivation. Okay. So what we do is that we have Guru Buddha in front of us, and then we generate a mind in which we say to ourselves, oh, I must reach enlightenment as fast as possible. Like in the Guru Puja is saying, quickly, quickly, nyurwa, nyurwa. Masim jantam chegitun dagi tsedi nyurwa nyurwa dobe zobe sange kobanto parcha te chidu lamsamo lama la enerjo nyamsu lamar giwo. This is the Guru Puja saying, no verse. Which means, I must reach enlightenment. I have an urgency to reach enlightenment for the benefit of others. I must help others. And I must reach enlightenment very quickly. And for that reason, I will now do the practice of self-healing. So this is when we generate the motivation. The basis of our motivation is taking refuge in the bodhicitta, which means love towards ourselves and love towards others. And with this emotion, with this state of consciousness of love towards ourselves and others, we say, that's why I will do the practice of self-healing. So why am I going to do the practice of self-healing? Because I want to reach enlightenment. Why I want to reach enlightenment? Because I want to be of benefit for others. Okay? So as we generate this strong intention, we visualize in front of us Guru Buddha that dissolves into beautiful golden light. The light comes towards our forehead. enters through our central channel, fills up completely our central channel, and expands through our whole, to our body. And from our body, this light expands to the whole universe. Everything becomes full of light, and we experience clear light. So at this moment, everything dissolves into light. There is nothing more than an infinite emptiness full of light. This emptiness is empty of inherent existence, which means the mode of apprehension is that of the lack of inherent existence, but I will talk more about that later. Okay? We experience this infinite emptiness full of light in a blissful way. And I am the union of great bliss and emptiness. Wherever there is this infinite emptiness full of light, there is bliss. Wherever there is bliss, there is emptiness. Wherever there is bliss and emptiness, I am there. But it's a non-dual experience. There is not like me here and emptiness there. I am emptiness, I am bliss, and one is inseparable of the other. Okay, I am everywhere. I am everything. So we stay in this state for some time, and then out of this union of great bliss and emptiness, once again the universe appears to us. This doesn't mean that the universe dissolves and don't exist. We are not meditating on the non-existence of everything, but that we are not able to perceive anymore. Everything dissolves into light. Actually, we are simulating our own process of death. Okay, but I will talk later more about that. Okay, and when we do the absolute purification, we'll talk more about that. So, in this moment, we just do quite quickly and quite simple. Everything dissolves into light. We experience this great union of great bliss and emptiness. And then from that state of the union of great bliss and emptiness, the universe appears. We appear with a pure body, made out of light, with a central channel, a left and a right channel, like Vajrayana or one of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas. We have a pure body, or one of the 5 great mothers. And in front of us is Guru Buddha. Okay, no, sorry. 1 minute. Went too fast. Before Guru Buddha, we are just with the beautiful environment. No Guru Buddha yet, okay? So what we do is that at this point, from our heart, light emanates, and it purifies the whole environment, and it makes the environment completely pure, okay? But there is this part which is not in the preliminary practices as a recitation. We can add it as a recitation. There are ways how to recite it, in which, like in the Guru Puja, it's there, in which everything dissolves into light. From that, Guru Buddha dissolves into light to our forehead. We generate the motivation, I must reach enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. For that reason, I will do now the practice of NgalSo Tantric self-healing. And from that moment, after that, I generate myself with a pure form and a pure environment. Okay? Generating the pure environment, it's very important in many senses, but just making it simple, one of the benefits of visualizing the pure environment is that we create a positive interdependence in order to live and experience a pure environment. We are creating the causes that our environment becomes pure. Okay? We also generate these causes when we make the offering of a pure environment, like when we make the mandala offering. We are creating the causes to experience such pure environment. And we are creating now a very pure environment to offer it to Guru Buddha. So it's a way how to create causes to have a good environment. And another meaning of it is that the spiritual practice is very much connected also to the environment. Where did Buddha go to meditate? To the forest. Where did Lama Tsongkhapa go to do retreat? To the mountains. Like this we can go on and on and on. Not only in Buddhist tradition, also in other religions, very often, where is the place for spiritual development? The forests, the mountains, the desert, not the city. Right? If we look it's like in Christian tradition, Saint Francis. Where did Saint Francis go for meditation? In the caves by the forests. And like this we can go on in all traditions, okay? So environment is important. And by generating this pure environment around us, we are creating the causes, the positive interdependence, in order to be able to experience ourselves a pure environment also. Okay? So we visualize this beautiful environment. Here we need to use our creativity. So imagine beautiful mountains, and we can imagine in the sea, and lakes, and trees, and birds, and everything around this environment remembers us about Dharma, which means the sound of the wind going through the trees brings us the message of renunciation, of bodhicitta, of the correct view of reality, and so on, of generosity, of compassion. The sound of the birds brings us the meaning of the Dharma. Everything connects us to the spiritual path, to enlightenment. And from our heart, light emanates, and as it goes through the whole environment, it purifies any sort of impurity that there may be. Any conflict, any pollution, any lack of harmony that there may be in the environment is completely purified. And then the light comes back and reabsorbs back into my heart. And as we do this, we recite the prayer, Tamche duni sashida sengmalas no mepadan lakti tanyam bendori ranshin champorne gyurchik. And as we do this prayer, we imagine that we are in a total pure environment. Okay? After that, we imagine that within this environment in front of us appears an ocean of offerings. Okay? Many, many, many offerings. The most beautiful things that we can imagine. So here we imagine the objects of pleasures of the five senses, such as beautiful things, nice smell, nice touch, nice sounds, okay? So, and we can imagine in the best as we can, okay? So, according to our own culture, to our own experience, we imagine the best. So, there are many texts which describe in the minimal details, very beautifully, how we can imagine all of this and so on. But we just adapt to our own mentality, our own culture, our creativity. We offer the best that we have. One part that is important also, within these offerings, there is one part of the offerings where we focus that we can imagine, like this morning I said, as flowers, but we can do it as flowers, as jewels, as food. One part of the offerings, we manifest them, they appear as such offerings, but in essence, we are offering our own realizations. We are offering our own practice of the Dharma. We are offering our love, our compassion, our patience, our stability, our wisdom, all the realizations that we have already gained and that we will gain one day. So we offer the realizations of the five paths, such as the path of accumulation, preparation, the path of seeing, the path of meditation, the path of no more learning, the 10 bhumis, which means all the realizations on the path to enlightenment, the ones that we already have and the ones that we will gain, we visualize them as offerings also. It's a very positive interdependence that we do also. Okay? Once we visualize the offerings, we need to transform and purify the offerings. Okay? So to transform and purify the offerings, the more simple way that we do is that we visualize above the offerings the 6 syllable Om Ah Hum. Okay? There are 2 ways of visualizing. One is that the Om is above and the Hum below. The I is always in the middle. The other way is that the Hum is above and the Om below. Personally, I like doing the Om above and the Hum below, okay? But both of them are correct. And then we visualize that from Om, white light emanates, from Ah, red light emanates, from Hum, blue light emanates, or one after the other or together. And the white light goes to all Buddhas requesting their blessings of body. And they emanate from their crown, white light that reabsorbs back into the Om. And the Om becomes inseparable of the pure nature of the sacred body of all Buddhas. Then the Ah goes requesting the blessings of speech. And then from the throat of every Buddha, red light and nectar absorbs into the Ah, which transforms, becomes inseparable with the pure speech of all Buddhas. Then from the Hum, blue light emanates, requesting the blessings of mind, which reabsorb back into the Hum. bringing back all the blessings of the mind of all Buddhas, so the home becomes inseparable with the pure mind of all Buddhas. Then after that, what we do is that the home dissolves into the offerings. So the home goes down, and as it touches the offerings, I like to imagine like when you have like a beautiful lake, very calm water, if we throw a little stone in the middle, it ripples all around. Similar to that, I imagine like the home dissolves and this blue light expands through all the offerings. And as the blue light expands through all the offerings, it eliminates any sort of impurity that there may be in the offerings. Any impurity of smell, taste, shape, any sort of impurity is completely purified. Then after that, the dissolves into the offerings. Goes down and melts and dissolves into the offering. And then the red light expands through the offerings. And all the offerings are transformed into nectar, something very pure. And then after that, the Om dissolves into the offerings. And as the white Om dissolves, the white light expands through all the offerings. And all the offerings becomes infinite. Like they're multiplied into infinite. It doesn't matter how much we use them, they will never end. Okay? This is why normally we do also 3 times the Om Ahum. The first Om Ahum, light emanates. The second Om Ahum, reabsorb. The third Om Ahum dissolves and purifies, transforms, and multiplies. Okay? We can do this when we eat. For example, before eating, in our plate of food, we visualize the Om Ahum. Om Ahum, light emanates, requesting the blessings of body, speech, and mind of all Buddhas. Om Ahum, all the blessings are gathered at the Om Ahum. Om Ahum again, the Hum dissolves, the A dissolves, the Om dissolves. It purifies, transforms, and multiplies. Okay. This is something that we do when we make offerings. It's something that we do when we eat. At any moment, this is the Om Ahum. And it has many different levels of meaning also, okay? One of the deepest meaning is also directly related to the process of death, that we have white vision, red vision, black vision, and finally clear light. Om Ahum is connected to so many things, okay? But at this point, we visualize on top of the offerings the Om Ahum, light emanates, gather the blessings, reabsorb, and then dissolves, purifying, transforming, and multiplying the offerings. We do this as we do the prayer. Hada mi chepetse ngoso chada yiki chukun san chotin lana me namke kangon kyap kyurchik. And then we do Om Namo Bhagavate benza saraprama danetata gata yarhate samya sambuddhaya tayata om benze ma teza benze ma vidya benze ma bodhicitta benze maha bodhi mandupa sankramana benze sarva karma avarana vishuddhana benza yesoha. Then after that, we do the prayer. Kunjo sumki demba dan sangye dan jancho sempa tamche ki chinge lab dan soni yonsu zobe nga dan chenpo dan chuki na bardajin samge mige betov ki deshin to gyuruchik. Which basically what we do is that we request through the blessings of the Buddhas, may these offerings become real. Because if I offer this water to the Buddha, okay? First of all, there is not such a thing as something that the Buddha likes and something the Buddha don't like, okay? But can the Buddha experience any negative emotion? No. So anything that the Buddha experiences, he will experience with great bliss. So we say, these offerings that I have here, actually prepared or visualized, through your merits, may they become pure and wonderful. Because anything that you receive, will receive as nectar. You will receive as something wonderful. So through your accumulation of merit and wisdom, may these offerings may not be just some visualization, may they become true. Not through the power of my visualization, but through the power of your merits. Okay? In very few words, that's what we do when we do this prayer, Kunjo Sumki Dembadam. So we imagine that the offerings become real offerings. It's not just some sort of visualization we are doing. They are really there. So we can really offer them. After that, we need to start this. With this, we conclude the part which is called preparing the offerings and the environment. And then now we have the part which is inviting the holy beings, which is generating the merit field, doing the 7 limb prayers. And then after that we have making the mandala offering in order to request for blessings. And then after we have receiving the blessings or requesting the blessings. Okay? And with that we will conclude the part of the preliminary practices. Okay? So I think we stop now for lunch. And then after that we will continue with inviting the merit field and going on through the preliminary practices. Okay? One important thing, when we do this part that we have just explained, it is actually very nice, not only nice, but important. Because we start, since the beginning of the practice, it's like if we create a whole environment around us. Now, if we have good ability of creativity and imagination, somehow we disconnect from the normal things, how we see them, and we connect, we create this pure environment, we create this pure world. Okay? And this is something very powerful also. Okay? I don't know, when I was a kid, this makes me remember somehow, when I was a kid, I was maybe 10, between 10 and 12, something like this. We used to have a game which we call role game. I don't know how we call it in English. Role play game or something like this, where you have each person, you create a whole world, and each one is a different character, and you need to do things, and you play with dice, and things happen, and so on. Very complicated things we do with that. We call, I think it's roller player game or something like that. Role play game. So it's like, I remember when I was a kid, I used to play this, and it's like you go with the whole imagination within it. But I remember these games, you can play them in the computer, or you can play them with a book and dice, which is much nicer. Why? Because we need to use really the creativity and the imagination. In the computer, everything is ready-made, no? Instead, we need to use our creativity. We need to use our imagination. And when we do the practice, we are also using our imagination and creativity. We are imagining this pure environment. It's like if we enter into this experience, until the practice is not finished, we enter into a whole new experience. And within this new experience, we will generate our qualities, accumulate merits, purify our negativities, and do so many things. Okay? So it's like training our ability of visualizing, of generating this experience of reality. Okay, so we stop here now. We just do the dedication, and then we come back at 3 after lunch. Jetsu lame kutse raptenchi namkara trile chochur gepadang losan tempe dreme sasumgi drove muse tatu negur nimo dele tsendele nime kuyan delekshi takto delek pe koncho sumge jing koncho sumge ngodrup sol koncho sumge trashisho. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the 3 jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realization and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness.